Welcome in, hip hop heads. My name is Plural Bets, and on this channel, I like to break down hip hop album reviews track by track and then rate each one on a scale of 1 to 10. Remember that music is subjective, and my takes are not going to match yours 100%. So I always encourage that you listen to the album yourself. Today, I'm going to break down the new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. Just in case you don't know who Clipse is, they are a rap duo out of Virginia Beach that have been around since the early 90s. Their most notable song is Grindin' from 2002. Technically consisting of Pusha T and No Malice, I personally put Pharrell in that conversation as well, since he did originally bring them together, and he has been the lead producer on every single one of their albums except for one. Kudos if you can name that one in the comments. This album was originally scheduled for a 2024 release, but due to the recently dismissed Drake lawsuit, Def Jam had wanted a feature on this album be removed. So they decided to buy themselves out of their contract and release this album independently, which happened on July 11th, 2025. Someone did leak it online a few days earlier in what I assume was an attempt to quell the momentum of this thing, but it didn't work because it still charted number 4 on the Billboard charts, moved 118,000 album equivalent units, and was streamed a breaking 77.5 million times in week 1. This album has gotten love from everybody, and it's not hard to see why. So without further ado, here's the review. Track 1, Birds Don't Sing. John Legend and the Voices of Fire are credited as features on this. Push takes the first verse and he paints a beautiful picture of his mom's passing and reminiscing on what happened before, during, and after the event. John Legend on the hook, though, is so soulful, and the message really blew my mind. Malice takes the second verse and he paints a picture of when he found his dad when he passed. They also have Stevie Wonder on the outro as an added sprinkle on top of an already beautiful song. This one is an easy perfect 10. Track 2, Chains and Whips, featuring Kendrick Lamar. The beat for this is nasty. The bass and the guitar riffs really make it feel like a new age western. The hook is short but sweet. Uncle said you must be sick. All you talk about is just getting rich. Super dope. Push takes the first verse and he is taking heavy direct shots at Jim Jones. Malice takes the second verse, and while he's not dissing, he does take shots at rappers who are faking their spirituality. After the chorus again, Kendrick does his own little chorus that I thought was actually pretty dope as well. And in his verse, he's taking heavy subliminals at Drake, and who can blame him with the lawsuit going on at this time? This song is dope, so I'm giving it a hard 9. Track 3, P.O.V, featuring Tyler, the Creator. The hook for this is hard. Push is calling out the internet era rappers who are prioritizing content over the actual music. He also takes the first verse where he takes more shots at Jim Jones. His verse is hard, but in my opinion, it is the weakest of the 3 on the song. Tyler's verse was dope as well. I'm a punchline guy, and his verse was punchline heavy, so I thought it was pretty dope. But Malice's verse happens to be my favorite on the song. I done sung along to rappers that I didn't believe. Sick. Another hard 9 with solid verses from all around. Track 4, So Be It. The beat for this is hard. The Arabic man speaking, equipped with other elements of the production, make this feel like it's in the Middle East. The short Pusha T verse at the very beginning and the chorus set the tone for the song to be very diss-heavy towards Travis Scott. But Malice shines again, in my opinion, and takes the better of the 2 verses on the song. This song is dope as well, but not as dope as the first 3, so I'm giving it a soft 7. Track 5, Ace Trumpets. This happens to be the first and only single of the project. The hook is fairly smooth, but compared to the verses, it really is only average. Push continues the diss vibe, and this one is actually pretty smooth with a unique flow, and he's riding the beat pretty well. Malice's verse is my favorite part of the song once again. Is that Oscar line that he says a subliminal shot at Chris Rock? I'm taking it that way. This song actually kind of hits, but only really a little bit above average, so I'm going to give it a soft 6. Track 6, All Things Considered, featuring Pharrell and The Dream. Push takes the first verse, and it starts hard, but I don't really get what he's trying to say in the middle of it, so that just kind of fell flat to me. But he does pick it up in the last little bit as well, so it's an okay verse. And I'm not really a fan of what they did with Pharrell on the chorus. It just fell flat to me. And it also didn't really tie into the concept of what they're talking about in their verses. Malice takes a more spiritual tone in his verse and says that he's forgiven and names a bunch of things that he's been forgiven for. The Dream on the outro has an introspective message that I thought was pretty intriguing. If Pharrell's chorus didn't really fall flat, it would be a much better song, but as it is, I'm giving this one another soft 6. On to track 7, Mike Tyson Blows to the Face. Push's verse starts off a little weak, but it does progressively get better, with my favorite bar of the song being "White slave master's souls in the safe." Super dope. The hook is okay. The second half saves it from being a totally complete bust. Malice's verse really makes the song for me, and he is the standout verse once again. But this one's still just another soft 6. Track 8 is Ibada. The first verse is split between Pharrell and Push. Pharrell in the first half was okay, I guess. He was kind of lackluster in the middle, but he does shout out Takeoff, so that was a highlight. Push cleans it up nice, though, and describes a drug run pretty smoothly. The chorus I thought was okay, but it really is only average. And then the second verse is a back and forth between Push and Malice. Grew up playing real life Contra, never give up, that's the mantra, happens to be my favorite line. One of the weaker songs on the album to me, but it's still just average, though. Hard 5. Track 9 is F.I.C.O, featuring the Stove God Cooks. The beat for this is sick. I like the vocal chop that is used. Nice touch. Push on the first verse is hard from start to finish. My favorite line is, "When you young, you can't trust a mouth where the pipe go. They tried but couldn't love you enough." But Stove God Cooks on the hook happens to be my favorite part of the song. The second half being my favorite part of it. Malice happens to snap in his verse. Hands 3 and 9 as I'm crossing the state line was super dope. This happens to be one of my favorite songs on the album. Everything from the beat to the chorus and the verses were all on point. Another perfect 10. On to track 10, Inglorious Bastards, featuring Ab Leva. Anyways, Jesse Jackson takes the intro of this song. And I gotta say that I'm not really feeling the beat for this one. The verses on this track are okay, but none of them really stood out as spectacular to me. But if I had to pick a favorite, I'd have to say that Push had the better of the 3 verses. This song is okay, but just a little bit below average. I'm giving it a hard 4. Track 11, So Far Ahead. The beat and the chorus that Pharrell do for this is so soulful, and I loved it. Push is snapping in his verse. The PMB line and the Brittany Griner line are highlights of a dope verse. But Malice's verse is a little bit lackluster compared to the rest of the work that he's done on this album. I was kind of expecting a little bit more. But it is still pretty decent, and I'm going to give the song a soft 7. On to the title track, Let God Sort 'Em Out, featuring Nas. The first half, Push and Malice do a back and forth that I thought was actually pretty decent. I kind of felt like Push was taking more subliminals at his opponents that he directed his shots at from earlier in the album. But I can't confirm nor deny that, so it is what it is. And then there's a beat switch for Nas's part, which the first half of it was spitting all facts. No lies were being told. But the second half, he did kind of fall off a little bit. The song is solid, though, and I'm going to give it a hard 6. And then the final track, By the Grace of God, the beat for this is okay. If it wasn't for the choir chops that they added in the middle of the verse, it would have been lackluster in my opinion. The verses are only really average. Malice takes the first one and Push takes the second, and they're just a little lackluster to me. But the bridge and the chorus on this song make it what it is, and I give it a soft 7. There isn't much that I can say about this album that hasn't already been said. Even the weakest songs on this are actually pretty decent, and I don't think that there was one skip the entire project. The disses are dope and everything, but I kind of feel like they overshadowed the better songs in Birds Don't Sing and F.I.C.O. To me, this album is an instant classic, and it's really showing that the game is shifting. It's not a young man's game anymore, and the older generations are putting out better music. What happens to be your favorite track from this? Or I'd like to know your overall take on this. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and then subscribe for more album reviews just like this one. Until next time, friends, peace.